In reflection of today being the Feat of Service tournament, we decided to sit down with the Nova Nomad Gaming Club and have two of their players, one of them being the one who won the painting competition at last year's Feat of Service, and then Mod Plarzoid, who won the painting competition at TempleCon of 2015, to sit down and show us exactly some of the shenanigans that could happen in this Create a Caster format. Please note that this is not using any time clock and is a very casual format, so it's just two players enjoying the game with each other. The scenario provides for an interesting makeup of caster and spell combinations. So it almost asks, or what would your caster and spell combinations be? Go ahead and put them down in the comments below. And with that, please enjoy the game. This game is being played with the Steamroller 2015 Incursion scenario. The scenario does not have the Killbox artifice and consists of 3 flags. Each flag can be controlled for 1 CP or dominated for 1 CP. Victory conditions consist of 5 control points or caster assassination.
Greetings sports fans, this is Plarzoid and I'd like to introduce you to Commander Katya Cherenkov. She's my Kadoran mechanic warcaster from Feat of Service 2014. The way our event works is you pick a chassis from Prime or Primal, strip off the spells, and pick your faction. From there you build a 25-point list, use the spell draft rules to draft some spells, and then finish off your list up to 35 points by adding 10 more points. Knowing I wanted to build a mechanic-style warcaster in Khador, I picked P-Thagrosh. This gave me a pretty cool feat of bringing back one of my warjacks should have happened to be destroyed. Considering I'm running Kadoran warjacks at ARM 20, that's going to be quite the feat. I've focused primarily on battle group spells and infantry spells, because I went into this with the Wardog, Juggernaut, Destroyer, and full Winterguard Death Star. This gave me plenty of flexibility on what my spells might be, because I didn't know what they were going to be. I think I lucked out pretty darn well. I picked up Batten Down the Hatches, which is pretty tough under Khador. It cranks up the armor even higher. I picked up Fortune, which the Winterguard absolutely love. Polarity Shield, which is pretty nice, can't get the drop on me. Jackhammer, considering I had 2 jacks, that was pretty nice. Iron Aggression, love it. And then Razorwind, which is a nice thematic Zot. For my final 10 points, I had a lot of battle group spells with Jackhammer, Iron Aggression, and Batten Down the Hatches, so I went with a clean Spriggan for the last 10 points. Katya's model consists of parts from 5 different models. The base is the Bombardier Bombshell model. That's where I get the torso, legs, chest piece on the ground, and a couple other small bits. The arms and the base for the wrench is from the Kadoran Mechanic Unit Officer. The underslung flamethrower, which takes over P-Thagrosh's breath weapon, is the flamethrower from the Assault Commando weapon attachment, as well as the tank on her back, that's from the same model. The flag should be pretty recognizable for you Kadoran fans. That is the flag from the Khador Man of War Kovnik. One of Katya's themes, besides being a mechanic, is beer. You'll notice she's carrying a beer mug, and in her crawl up through the ranks of the Kadoran military, she kept her troops and mechanics well motivated by giving them beer. Since I needed a way to explain Death Shroud, I figured a don't spill my beer type rule would be a great way to explain enemy models being focused on the beer instead of her, and thus losing 2 strength. The logo on the mug is styled after the Nova Nomad's logo, which is the logo of my gaming club.
My Warlock has a pretty basic backstory. What he does is that he goes in the front lines of battle to herald the arrival of Scorn at an Invades empire. And since Scorn likes messing around with whatever to win, I figured P-Skarre's blades would make sense to be in Scorn's arsenal. I mean, not those specific blades, but you know, similar blades. I designed this guy a year ago, so I don't particularly remember my thoughts on designing him. I do remember 2 things though. P-Skarre's feat is hilarious on Cetrati, and that I should be able to abuse Spell Slave as much as possible. My list is pretty standard Scorn shenanigans. Nihilators, Cetrati, etc. However, I do not have Beast Handlers, and that is because I normally proxy them, but since this is on video, I thought that looked weird, so I just went for more Nihilators. Character Beasts and Jacks weren't allowed, so I went for the Bronzeback and the Titan for its speed, Titan Gladiator for its speed buff.
I won the roll and decided to go first. So I'm deploying 7 inches up. This is a Kadoran Trenchworks table. It has trenches, hills, forests, and a obstruction kind of deal in the middle. The center is pretty wide open, so I put Katya where she'll be able to move forward behind the linear obstacle or into the trench if I need to hide her. The Winter Guard mass goes in the middle, the dog goes next to Katya, and then the jacks go out on the flanks. This is a pretty standard deployment for my Gator armies. Gets the Winter Guard in the middle where they can cover as much as I need to, and the jacks can cover my flanks.
I wanted my Nihilators to take on the middle of the field to deal with as much Winter Guard as possible, and maybe branch a bit into the left of the field if necessary. I couldn't remember if I was supposed to put the Cetrati in the front or the back, and just to be safe, I put them in the back so they wouldn't be in the Nihilator's way. And the Beast and the Caster are simply on my right of the field to deal with those 2 jacks and take on that right flag if necessary.
Gator turn 1. I don't have any defensive buffs for the Winter Guard, but they're still going to act as a tar pit. I have my 7 focus, so I put Fortune on them since they're going to be running away from Katya. There's no point in waiting to get that up and running. I have plenty of focus this turn to do so. I put Iron Aggression on the Juggernaut. The Spriggan's a little bit too far away. I think it would have been a better candidate, but I'd rather get it up and running now. I can always switch it later if I need to. And I put Polarity Shield on Katya herself. She's got lots of big beasts. They're on her side of the table. I don't want them coming at her at all, since those Titans will hurt. So that is Polarity Shield on her, Iron Aggression on the Juggernaut, and then Fortune on the Winter Guard. They're running to get the center line. He has no Incendiary, so I'm not worried about AoEs very much, which is why I'm not worried too much about keeping them bunched up like this. We're also both pretty slow, so I'm not terribly worried about having to win the race to the center line or get stuck behind it. The Jacks move pretty slow, the Winter Guard move a little bit faster. But Joe's going to give them Fearless and Tough. That kind of helps make up for the fact that I don't have something like Iron Flesh or Deflection in this list. It keeps them around a little bit longer. The Juggernaut gets a free run from Iron Aggression. The Destroyer just moves up behind it to act like the mobile artillery piece it is, and a Spriggan 1.
Ah yes, the exciting turn 1. I move forward and cast Batten down the hatches. You know, in case you shot at me. Also, I wanted to take advantage of the hill since there were so many guns, so I placed as many Nihilators in there as possible.
So I get my 7 focus back, and I'll upkeep all 3 spells. So that's keeping Fortune on the Winter Guard, Iron Aggression on the Juggernaut, and then Polarity Shield on her. Fearless and Tough drops off, and at this point my opponent's running through everything he has, so that I know what my battle plan is going to be. I've got 4 focus left, trying to figure out how to use them. I'm going to try to launch an AoE into that nicely packed group of Nihilators up on the hill, so I give 1 to the Destroyer, and I think I keep 3 on her to run Batten down the hatches if we get there. So Winter Guard bobbing and weaving forward, since they can do that. That's a thing. Gives them some nice defense. Fortune will help them hit, so Joe's going to probably give them Fearless and Tough again once they're done. My goal here is to just take out some of the Nihilators. They're going to keep clogging up firing lanes to his caster, which means the Destroyer can't really do much, but we'll try to clear up some lanes there. They're also tough, so I'm going to have a lot of problems getting to them, but we'll see what we can do. So, some gunshots from the Winter Guard into the Nihilators here. Lots of shooting. Not terribly interesting at this point. A couple shots. Some Nihilators dead. Some knocked down. Throwing some rockets in there. Shoot them all. Let the Void sort them out. That's the K-Doran way, right? I think his caster's in there in the middle somewhere. I think I'm hoping for some good blast damage maybe from the Rocketeers, but alas, no such thing. Spriggan slow. So slow. I don't think he does much of anything the entire game, but he makes good footprints, so we keep him around. Trying to keep Katya close and center. The Death Shroud will help me against the enemy models. Of course, I think I forgot about it most of the entire game, but trying to get up in the center. She does pretty good in melee. Unfortunately, I had to keep reminding myself I don't have mutagenesis. I play P-Thagrosh a lot, and I had to keep reminding myself I don't have that, which would have been fantastic with models nearby the caster up there on the hill. It would have been awesome, but alas, no. So. I think the Destroyer here is just trying to soften up one of the heavies with a shot. But he also has battened down the hatches, which means his Titans are armed 22 against my top 14, and it's just not going to do much. So.
At this point, it seemed like an attrition battle favoring Khador, so I had my Gladiator go to the flag on my right so I wouldn't be behind on points just in case. I figure since the Devastator is a shooty jack and the Juggernaut would probably focus on my Bronzeback or Warlock, so it'd be safe. It should be safe for the Gladiator. Since my spell list was designed to take full advantage of Spell Slaved, I went ahead and threw a free Earthquake at the Winter Guard since I had to deal with them sooner or later. It ended up helping the Nihilators. I had positioned them to maximize Berserk, but I'm not great at positioning, so I ended up taking out a lot of my own guys. I was also already losing guys, and since my opponent could just sit back and shoot at me with cannons and spells and whatnot, I recast Batten Down the Hatches to mitigate that damage. I also when I played this Warlock before, I had this huge problem of not feeding early enough because I wanted to use it offensively and do a lot of damage. However, I learned that it's really hard to kill things when you're dead, so I decided to use it defensively this game.
Okay, so that hurt. It's a lot of Winter Guard dead from Nihilators, and now I've got to unseat the Gladiator from the far flag, and I don't have much in that direction. Really wish the Spriggan were over there, because Bulldoze is a thing, and that would have been awesome, but no. So, I'm now not terribly happy with what I'm looking at across the table. Nihilators are pretty nasty, and then Winter Guard, even though they had tough, there was just so many attacks that they just didn't survive well. So, upkeep Fortune, I think I upkeep Iron Aggression, but I think I drop Polarity Shield at this point. There's just no way he's going to charge through me with the small based models there. He might trample through, but Polarity Shield's not going to stop that, so there's no reason in wasting the focus on it. Trying to figure out what I want to do, trying to figure out if I can get the Spriggan in the game. There's now a model nicely within charge range, which means for a focus I can get him to move fairly well and maybe free up some guys with some shots. So plan there is to have the Spriggan charge the dude if he survives, and then Destroyer gets a focus. Maybe we can put some damage into the Gladiator over there on the side. Can't unseat it. It's going to take me a turn or two to get there anyway, so we'll see if I can't do a little bit of damage. So running through my allocation and upkeeps here for my opponent so he knows what I'm doing, and then activating the Winter Guard and giving up attacks to move so I can tie things up. They probably could have just given up their movement and shot, which probably would have been a better option. The guy closest to the Gladiator, though, I think was engaged, so he couldn't do much. But just trying to make the most of the Winter Guard at this point. Fortune works best under their guns, which are a much better offensive utility than their little POW 8 axes. I've got their strength on Joe for an extra +3 strength, but it just makes them POW 11s and their guns are 10s, and I can't pack as many models around. So I position that pack in the middle so all 5 of them can see his caster up there on the hill. Unfortunately, I think he popped his feet last turn, which means he's at armored Ridonkulus, so this is kind of a futile effort, but it's what I can do, so it's what I'm gonna do. So I think only the 4 in the front actually made it in range. The 5th guy's out of range, so it's only a CRA 4. It's not quite enough, but it was worth a shot. Go Winter Guard. Whoever survives gets free beer. Joe gives them Fearless and Tough yet again. Try to hopefully make them stick around a little bit longer than otherwise they would get there. So what I'm doing here is I'm lining up a shot with the spray, hopefully trying to tag his caster if it's within range. And he turns out to be just out of range. So no dice on getting the caster under the flamethrower and maybe setting it on fire. No, flamethrower is only fire type, so that wouldn't have worked very well. But it would have been damage, boostable damage. That would have been handy. So just get the beast and the Annihilator though. Another little bit, and I could have gotten him in range, but that's what happens when a painter plays a game. You can't figure out distances. So go Destroyer. You use him to clear off a Annihilator that you just quite can't see. Yep, right there behind the big guy. And what that actually does is that opens up a charge lane for the Juggernaut. Iron Aggression is in charge for free, so he'll get the 2 main attacks. One with the axe and one with the fist. Boosted from the charge, does some damage. Of course, it's not enough. I think he had Batten Down the Hatches running, so it's not going to do a whole heck of a lot, but it's better than nothing. I don't even bother with the fist. It can't break his armor even on boxcars, or it's just not worth it. So
Feeding early worked! My Bronzeback and Gladiator lived! Alright, so dealing with the huge clump in the middle first. Since my Nihilators were tied up, I figured I had Marketh just throw an Arcane Blast at the Winter Guard since knocking them out now wouldn't do much. I cast Batten down the hatches, just in case. I attempted to get rid of the Juggernaut since it could easily threaten my Warlock and Bronzeback. But I failed. I had my Gladiator move into position for a later charge against casters. That way my opponent would have to get his Devastator into my Gladiator's face, and I wouldn't have to worry about cannon shells at my Warlock's face. The Spriggan was also approaching the flag on my left, so I had the Cetrati go towards it, and I figured, worst case scenario, one or two of them die. Since I soon wouldn't be able to generate points from the flag on my right, what with my Gladiator probably going to be tied up, I figured it'd be best if my opponent didn't start scoring points.
So hey, that was a lot like last time. Lots of dead Winter Guard, Titans that need to be gotten rid of, and some more Giants. His Warcaster's still on a hill, but we've learned how futile shooting him is. Just doesn't quite work. So, if I recall, near the beginning of this turn, my opponent forgot to activate his 1 or 2 Nihilators last turn, and he's going to activate them here in a minute. Just gave him a take back. That's going to prove to be a bad decision. It's going to eat almost all of the Winter Guard in the middle of the table, which royally sucks. But it's a friendly game. We do take backs. It's a thing that happens. So, yeah, this is going to hurt big time. Yay, dead Winter Guard. They did what they were supposed to. Berserk. Sucks. And I believe he picked out Kovnik Joe, so there's no tough. So they die even faster now. Isn't that a handy feature? So this is looking pretty bleak. I gotta try to put pressure on his caster, do something. I think in a flat-out duel, Katya would win, but there's no way I could get her up into melee that I can see. There's just too many free strikes and things in the way, so I gotta figure out what on earth to do. My plan this turn is to keep like all the focus on her, and I'm gonna use Jackhammer on the Juggernaut to see if I can kill the Bronzeback during Katya's activation. If that is successful, then I can activate the Juggernaut, who has Iron Aggression and charges for free, and he can charge right over the Bronzeback's carcass onto the hill and kill the enemy Warcaster. Unfortunately, it's just not enough. The Winter Guard right now are firing pot shots at the caster up on the hill. They're missing or AoEs and just all kinds of random stuff's not working. But so that was my plan. Jackhammer, use that to kill the beast, and then use the Juggernaut to charge the Warcaster and put some serious pressure on him. I've got models contesting the middle flag. The destroyer is easily within 4 inches of the flag with its 4-inch movements for contesting the other one, which basically would give me it would nullify his ability to score scenario points. My opponent asks what kind of speed buffs I have here, and I just give him my card so he can take a look at what I've got. Another nice thing is under Iron Aggression, his melee rolls are boosted even through Jackhammer, because it doesn't say that during his activation at all. It just says the model can charge and trample and all that for free, and melee attacks are boosted. So Jackhammer gets me boosted melee attack rolls. It's probably why you don't see those two spells together, but they're pretty handy here. I didn't really need the boost on hitting him anyway. I mean, it's a defense 7 Titan because he has batten down the hatches on, so it's up 3 armor and down 2 defense. I really would have enjoyed having boosted damage instead. Stationary, crit stationary is pointless as well. I don't have a problem hitting him. It's doing enough damage to kill him, and as you can see, I've moved on. 7 focus worth of attacks from the Juggernaut just didn't kill him. Just didn't do it. It was dice -3, and I don't think I rolled over a 6 or a 7 on any of the die rolls for damage, so I got him down to about 2/3. Wasn't sufficient to kill him, and so at this point it's just mitigating as much as I can. At this point I've denied him both of the control points that we're fighting over, trying to just get as much done with what little I've got. Big debate over where to put the War Dog. I can see charges coming from the guys here on the bottom of the screen, the Cataphracts. I could see a throw coming from the Bronzeback. I could see charges from his Warcaster coming down over the flag if he kills the Winter Guard in the middle there. So I tried to pick something where the War Dog would either be a lump or do something useful.
I had a pretty simple assassination plan. Throw an Earthquake at the caster, hope it clips the War Dog, and try and kill her out with some stuff. However, I've lost games before for failing assassination attempts for really silly reasons. So I decided to take it slow and eliminate as much as possible before going out of my way to kill Katya. With some charge lanes ended up being cleared out, I tried getting at her with some infantry. Some got in, some didn't get in, as you can see. And I forgot that knockdown models have defense 5 against range and magic attacks, and I ended up doing a few more rolls than I thought I would. All part of learning the game. I ended up taking the one least likely to get a charge at her, assuming there was another turn after this, and used him for a boostable sack strike. It did a lot of damage.